Manchester United 4, Brighton 2. An extremely vital win for Ruben Amorim's outfit. But what happened behind the scenes from a tactical standpoint in this battle between the Seagulls and the Red Devils? Without further ado, let's analyze. Alright, let's get started with this tactical analysis video. And in this video, I'm going to focus on 3 tactical concepts that Ruben Amorim has applied in this game that has absolutely checkmated Brighton. So let's start with the way we pressed and our overall defensive shape. So against Brighton, we used a shape that was different to the one used against Liverpool and the one used against Sunderland, because we know what Brighton are all about since the days of Roberto De Zerbi. They like to create a lot of opportunities for vertical central progression. And the way they do that is by building up in a sort of a box/rectangle type of shape with their forwards, as you can see here, Welbeck and Ruter as well, who play really deep. You know, they like to come in really deep and collect the ball and then run at the opposition defense. So what Ruben Amorim did is that he used a box shape of his own. And the main goal of that was to actually nullify these and eliminate these central options and force Brighton to go wide, because that's where the 3-4-3 formation is kind of strong, because we can create redundancies and overloads in those wide areas. And as you can see here, as they go wide, their 2 main options here, for example, with the left back and Danny Welbeck over here, are quite risky. So Lewis Dunk has to go even riskier towards, that's Minte right there. But then Lenioro is quite aggressive on him, and in fact this aggression from the centre backs, as we've seen De Ligt as well, but Luke Shaw, who was absolutely imperial in this game, played a crucial part in allowing Ruben Amorim to implement his tactical vision. Here we have another example. As they collect the ball wide again, they cannot play centrally, but eventually you have to move towards the center of the pitch in order to create high quality chances. As you can see here, the options are taken with Baleba is already taken by 2 players. If you go back to Ayari, well, you're not really creating much progression. So Jorginho Ruter is the only viable option if you really want to penetrate into the Manchester United half. But then here again, Luke Shaw is absolutely on him, just like bees on honey. And he was absolutely imperial in his duels against Ruter and in his ability to win the ball in those situations. Now look at Mbeumo. He literally played the Ousmane Dembele role for PSG. Look how he presses. First of all, he's looking at Dunk, trying to guess where he's gonna go next. And then look at his moves. He's just blocking Dunk as a viable passing option because he's trying to force the move wide. Here, Jean-Paul Van Eyck, to be fair, a player that I rate a lot, he's also moving into this direction in order to open up this passing lane, but it doesn't matter. Okay, as they are going wide, it actually plays into the hands of Manchester United and what Ruben Amorim wants to do, because as they collect the ball in that area, Matheus Cunha can go really aggressive on the carrier of the ball. And then we have here the 3 Manchester United players who are man-marking their midfielders, again, limiting their ability to pass the ball through the central areas. So their only option is to move along the touchline. But then again, Dalot, again, is quite aggressive, forcing them again to move with the speculative ball towards Ruter, where again, Luke Shaw was absolutely well positioned and able to win that ball. But of course, this is not the only instance, because again, as you can see, the Manchester United players quite aggressive with the way we press, always forcing the Brighton players to go long. But of course, this would not be a Scarlet Report video if, of course, I did not show you how this concept, this tactical concept and its application has allowed Manchester United to score not only 1 goal, not only 2 goals, but 3 of the 4 goals that we have scored. So here again, Luke Shaw is able to win the ball again against Ruter, who has had an absolutely abysmal performance, and he's a good player. I rate him. But then again, Luke Shaw, by winning that ball, he allows, I mean, look at this, just win the ball, get back into position, this is great. Allows Casemiro, I'm so happy for him, one of my favorite players, and I'm just happy to see him doing well at Manchester United currently. And that's a great goal, again, that came because of that concept, which we can see here at play again in that 3rd goal. As you can see again, Luke Shaw is attacking again Jorginho Ruter right here. As you can see, 4 Manchester United players are in a very narrow shape. As you can see, the Brighton players themselves are in a narrow shape because they're trying to force that vertical play, because that's what amazing goal. But of course, you don't win games just by defending. We of course have to also talk about the attacking phase when we have the ball. And one of the key weaknesses of Manchester United under Ruben Amorim was in the build-up phase, because what he liked to do is to build up with that double pivot of Casemiro and Bruno, as well as the three centre-backs. But that's easily predictable from the opposition's perspective. But since the game against Sunderland, I have observed that, and I have noticed that Ruben Amorim actually instructs players like Bruno to actually play further ahead from Casemiro. And this has a really potent effect on the opposition because it distracts them. Basically what it does, look at Ayari over here. You see, he doesn't dare to apply pressure on Casemiro, because I want to highlight something here, because a lot of people talk about press resistance. It's a buzzword right now in football tactics, okay? But a lot of people, they focus on the players, okay? They say, okay, well, Manchester United need players who are press resistant. So that means we need to buy someone like a Baleba, for example, or Vitinha type of player. But instead of focusing on the player, you also have to understand that the tactical system itself can actually enable press resistance. So by having a player like Bruno, and here Cunha as well, pushing ahead of Casemiro, basically what you're doing is you're allowing Casemiro more time and space on the ball, therefore making him more press resistant. Because then his composure shines, he can make better decisions, and thus he can be more effective. So here with Cunha and Bruno playing ahead of Casemiro, it means that Baleba and Ayari over here could not really press Casemiro with any intensity. So it gave him time on the ball, and then he's able to find Cunha right here. By the way, there is great understanding between Casemiro and Cunha. This could have been an amazing goal. And then here Cunha, as you can see, is already scanning the horizon, because where is Bruno? So this is a build-up phase. Bruno should have been here alongside Casemiro, but he's not. In fact, Cunha is dropping deep. As you can see here, the Brighton players have this pentagon shape because they anticipated that Manchester United would build up with three centre-backs. That's why these three players are here, as well as Bruno and Casemiro, who would come in deep. That's why Baleba and Ayari are kind of pressing with a little bit of intensity here on Casemiro. But as you can see, that's not what Manchester United did, because Cunha is dropping deeper, and then he can find Bruno, who is further ahead. So in fact, as you can see, this space right here, Manchester United are able to maximize their effectiveness in these areas by, instead of using a double pivot, Manchester United are using a double axis, if you may, because Bruno Fernandes is actually playing ahead of Casemiro. So instead of having a horizontal midfield, we're having a vertical midfield, which actually gives Casemiro more time on the ball, while simultaneously putting Bruno Fernandes in situations and positions where he can be dangerous. As was the case here, this could have resulted in a Sesko goal, with Sesko receiving the ball in this. Too bad it was on his left foot. Probably if it was on his right foot, he would have scored that. But that was a great sequence. This just highlights the tactical change and the change in this build-up approach that Ruben Amorim uses in the recent games. So there's another thing that I want to highlight. So the third point, the third tactical concept, is our counter-pressing ability, especially with Sesko, who has been absolutely amazing in this game from a pressing standpoint. Every time we lost the ball, he would just come in and just nick the ball from the opposition. Look how far away he is. I mean, you know, that's what, 15, 20 yards. Cunha loses the ball and then he just sprints, and then he enables us to win the ball back. And that's just a great work from Benjamin Sesko. And of course, again, that came into play before we scored the first goal. He was able to win that ball back and then just lay the ball towards Amad Diallo. And then we found ourselves in this situation where, again, Casemiro has a lot of space and time. He can control the ball. And it's as if he has eyes behind his head, because he's able to spot Cunha again, pass the ball in between the two Brighton defenders towards Matheus Cunha. And I know that he hasn't been really prolific since he's joined Manchester United, but what a player Matheus Cunha is. And as his confidence builds up, and I certainly hope that after scoring this beautiful goal, he's going to be more confident in the next few games, the way I feel that Mbeumo is really increasing in confidence. We do have some amazing players in this Manchester United team. But there is another source of optimism for me following this game, and it is the fact that, yes, Sesko and Luke Shaw, the two players that I have highlighted individually for the excellent game that they gave in their own respective areas. After they were substituted, this was not a case of levels dropping out throughout the Manchester United team. Quite the opposite, because their replacements, Kobbie Mainoo and Aiden Heaven, were actually able to carry on with that tradition and carry on those performances following the same concept. Here, for example, as Xerxes loses the ball, Kobbie Mainoo is able to just win that ball back instantly. And of course, the fourth goal, we were able to score it again, because as you can see, same thing, the forward players, they applied pressure, as you can see here, with Xerxes and Kobbie Mainoo, as well as Dorgu involved. So again, it shows that the substitutes are able to carry on playing the same way as the starters, which means that Ruben Amorim is truly able right now to create a somewhat consistent a level of performance, no matter who are the players who are playing, who are on the pitch, okay? So here, Aiden Heaven, same thing, he intercepts the ball. And of course, everybody was highlighting Bruno Fernandes's role here in just letting the ball go through him. It's just great vision, great flair. But of course, I'm a huge Bruno Fernandes fan. I'm not surprised by this. But this play right here, this is what, in my opinion, is extremely interesting, is the fact that Aiden Heaven was able to carry on doing what Luke Shaw was doing before him. And that's just great. And then, of course, this triumphant finish by Mbeumo, just a great, amazing goal and a great performance from the Red Devil. Right, so what do I make of this win? Look, I'm not a betting man, okay? So I'm definitely not interested in attempting to predict the future. I can only talk about what happened over the past 3 games. So after we beat Sunderland, the same Sunderland that have just sunk Chelsea, people were saying, come on, guys, it's just Sunderland. Come on, Scarlett, it's just Sunderland. Against Liverpool, come on, Scarlett. Liverpool are shit. Well, they're shit anyway, okay? Plus, they've hit the woodwork 3 times. We were just lucky. And then now against Brighton, I wonder what some of you guys are going to say. How are you going to justify, this win against Brighton? Because I can tell you clearly, what has happened, I have analyzed all of those games. I show you guys evidence of what I'm talking about. But against Sunderland, the whole plan that Ruben Amorim had, and he only used it against Sunderland because that was the most appropriate plan against Sunderland, was to use a 4-4-2 shape in the defensive phase in order to have Mbeumo and Sesko alternating between which one of them would man mark Granit Xhaka, in order for him to have limited time and space on the ball so he cannot progress the ball towards the Sunderland forwards. And it worked. Against Liverpool, we know that they are their most dangerous when they can exploit those channels and the half spaces. So he used more of a, a 5-4-1 shape that was a little bit compact, a little bit deeper, a little bit narrower, in order to prevent Liverpool from exploiting those spaces. And then now, against Brighton, he knows that they love to progress the ball vertically, so he forced them into the wide areas. And again, it works. So this shows that Ruben Amorim has tactical nous and acumen, and he has shown it over the past 3 games against Sunderland, Liverpool, and Brighton. And that's all I want from a Manchester United manager is just adapt to the opposition. You have to find ways to win. You have to find ways to create problems for the opposition, and also to limit the ability of the opposition to play to their strengths. And that's exactly what he's done against Sunderland, Liverpool, and Brighton. And that's why we got positive results. May it continue. So anyway, guys, I hope that you've enjoyed this tactical analysis video. If you did, please make sure to give the video the thumbs up and leave your thoughts in the comment section below. Until next time, cheers.